Welcome to Tech and Potatoes. On today's show, Sam and I discuss bargain carriers. That's right, those of you that want to save a little money on your cell phone bill, we're going to tell you how, where to look, the different options out there, some things to consider. So stay tuned because the show is about to start.
Today, let's talk about bargain carriers. I know a lot of y'all out there are saying, what's a bargain carrier? It's the lower known wireless carriers you've probably seen all over the stores and kind of interested but never thought they were worth trying. You have your big time carriers like Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, but also your bargain carriers like Cricket, Metro PCS, Straight Talk Wireless, and Virgin Mobile. A lot of people they question how good these services are, but today we're going to investigate and talk about how good their service is and what actually you can save if you decide to try one of these bargain carriers. Also, I have Chris here with me today. He's going to talk about another bargain carrier out there. Chris, you want to give a little information about the one you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I looked at bargain carriers because I currently use Verizon. My service is sky high. And you know, the funny part is I really have a good plan. I'm using a company discount, and for the two, my wife and myself, we have a plan where we pay $132 a month, and we only get 2 gigs of service. Unfortunately, we haven't gone over that because we mostly use Wi-Fi. And I really don't use the phone that much, and I really felt bad about paying that much to say that, you know, I'm not this big socialite on Instagram and Facebook all the time. I just use my phone occasionally, and I want to pay as little as possible. So I looked at Metro PCS. That was the one I had my eye on originally, but I wanted to get a new cell phone, and I saw Google was offering a deal where you get the Nexus 5X for a discounted price if you sign up for their Google Fi service. So I decided to do that. And I currently had the phone for a little bit over a week now, and I really like the service. The Google Fi service, they stress using Wi-Fi whenever possible, but it uses a combination of T-Mobile and Sprint for its cellular providers. And it works fairly well, and I really have no complaints so far. In fact, I've thought about switching over to it and abandoning Verizon, but problem is I'm still in the contract with Verizon, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm really considering it. I'm still testing it out. It's very moderately priced. You pay $20 initially. That covers all your talking and all your data services. Well, not your data services, rather. Your texting and whatnot. But as far as data, you're going to pay $10 per gig. So I signed up for a 1 gig plan because I'm testing it out. And so I'm going to pay $30. And after taxes, it's about $34. So it's really a pretty good price. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'll let you guys know about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little more about Metro PCS and
Straight Talk
Wireless and Fi. But yeah, speaking of cost of your bill, you know, you were talking about how much your bill costs. Currently, I'm on an AT&T grandfathered plan, and I have unlimited internet, and I'm paying about $100 a month.
Oh, wow.
But the reason I'm paying only $100 a month because I get a discount from my employer. So that's with a discount. So I'm paying $100 a month, and I don't have unlimited talk or text at the moment. I'm still paying an extra $20 just to get enough texting and to be able to text throughout the month without getting charged extra for it. So, you know, when you look at your plan, some of y'all out there probably haven't looked at your plan in a long time, and you're probably on an old plan that really makes no sense anymore. We're going to try and give you some information of some things to think about to help you look and make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. But anyway, Chris, you were talking about the Fi service and how they try and use Wi-Fi to offset some of the cost of their service. Can you explain a little more about how that works?
Yeah, it uses wireless. It's using your wireless service whenever you're at home or if you have Wi-Fi at work and whatnot. It's going to try to hop on any open wireless network for its calls. So it's going to use wireless for everything, for data and calls as much as possible. And then when that's not available, it's going to go ahead and use Sprint and T-Mobile. And it does hop. It's supposed to technically be able to sense whenever one of the two is really low, and it's supposed to switch and test out the other and select the network with the better coverage. So far, I found that in my little experience T-Mobile has had the better coverage in this area.
Oh, well, you kind of mentioned what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, how does that actually work? Because it's saying you're using Sprint and T-Mobile service, but how does it actually work? Do you notice when it switches to a different network? Do you notice when it jumps from Wi-Fi or not?
Very good question. Because they use two different services. Well, the services they have in common is their LTE. They both use LTE, but when you're not on LTE and you're using their their 3G services, you have CDMA versus GSM. So you will see, you rarely notice it, but you will see the phone switch over, and there is a momentary period of time where there is no service technically because it's transitioning. I guess it's switching the radios from GSM to CDMA. So.
Well, Chris, that's interesting. You say it uses Wi-Fi and then it switches from one network to another, and you kind of notice in between. How does that? I mean, how's the call quality? Is the call quality still good, or are you noticing any artifacts in people's sound? Can you really hear people good on the other line? And when you switch from, say, a Wi-Fi network to a mobile carrier network, can you tell a quality difference?
There is a quality difference. I found that what's oddly, strange enough, that on Wi-Fi the phone quality isn't as good. I think it's better when I'm using the cellular providers when I'm away from Wi-Fi. It's pretty clear. I haven't really noticed any problems on the Wi-Fi. It's okay. It's not clear, but it's you can tell that it's not your typical call. But as opposed to Verizon, which I currently use. I have an iPhone with Verizon, and when we're both using the voice over LTE function, it is crystal clear. Like, it's almost like you're talking in, I guess, what people would consider stereo. It's really clear. You can hear everything. It's amazing. This, not so much. It's really a much lower quality sound, but it's adequate.
Well then, Chris, if you're saying that the sound quality is not as good, is it really worth switching to a bargain carrier if the sound quality is not good as it is on Verizon, say, or AT&T or whoever you're with? I mean, is it really worth taking that extra money you're getting from that but getting a poor service?
Well, it depends on how picky you are. I mean, I don't when I say it's not as good, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's just so much worse than Verizon or one of the other carriers, but I'm being very picky about it. It is just a marginal decrease in quality, but there is a significant decrease in price. And when you look at the price that I'm paying, my bill at most may be $30 to $34 a month, as opposed to, paying $100 and some dollars as most people are. So, when you consider the price, that makes things a lot better.
Okay, yeah, so when you consider the price, okay, so you have a cheaper price and you're saying the product is adequate but not great. I mean, how do you go about seeing if this service is really good for you? Because, you're saying you're using Sprint and T-Mobile network and Wi-Fi networks. I mean, if you're not in an area that has a lot of Wi-Fi signals, wouldn't your bill be higher then? If you have to use your data more since you don't have those Wi-Fi signals all the time?
Exactly. Well, that's where the Fi service would be good for someone like me. I don't really use a lot of data. I travel to home and work, and if I'm out and about, I really don't use data that much. So I found even with Verizon, and just when I had a unlimited plan with Verizon before I switched over, and they forced me to get rid of my unlimited plan. I really wasn't using that much data because at work I had Wi-Fi, at home I had Wi-Fi. So someone like me who doesn't use a lot of data, it's perfect for. Now, if you do want to, if you use a lot of data, let's say 4 or 5 gigs a month, then you might want to look at one of the other providers because they offer you, more data maybe for your money. And also when you run out of that data, it's only running out of LTE data and not your data. I think it throttles you down, right, Sam? I know you're a little bit more familiar with it.
Yeah.
Like Cricket and Cricket, Metro PCS and whatnot.
Yeah, when you're looking at the other bargain carriers like Cricket, Metro PCS, and Virgin Mobile, they also have limits on the amount of data you get depending on the package you choose. But the one advantage they do have is once you're out of your LTE data limit for that month, they will switch you over to a 3G service. So you still have internet. It might be slow, but you still have access to your internet. and is adequate probably for checking the web and doing a few things. I don't know about streaming audio or YouTube or anything like that, but hopefully I'm going to try the service out and I can find out if that's going to be a good thing or not. But stepping back to Fi service, so how does that work? So it's, I think what you said, the base price is $20 a month.
Yeah.
And so you get a gig for $10 a month, right? So you start off with 20, and then you add 1 gig that gives you $30. So that's your bill, $30 a month. So what happens if you say you go over that 1 gig limit?
Well, okay, that's a good question. If you go over that gig limit, then what happens is they'll just charge you at that same price. So if you end up using 2 gigs for that month, you'll just pay that $20. You'll pay that extra 10 over what you had initially signed up for. So it's no really large overage cost. But there is one caveat here. Let's say you signed up for a 3 gig plan, which would cost you $50 a month. Well, guess what? If you only use 1 gig or 2 gigs that month, they actually refund you the amount that you didn't use. So you get a credit on your next month's bill for in the savings of the amount of data that you did not use. So it's really good for that aspect for people that might go under their data, which I will definitely go under my data.
And another thing I think I've talked to you about before is there are some limitations to the Fi service. So what phones can you use on the Fi service? Because I heard that you only can use certain phones with Fi. Is that true?
Yes, that definitely is true. You can use the Google Nexus 6 phone, the Nexus 6P phone, and the Nexus 5X phone. So you really have only 3 phones. And also you have upcoming later this year, you will have the new Nexus phones. They'll be available on that service. So there is a limit. There is a phone limit. You can't take your iPhone. You can't take your Galaxy S6 or 5 or 7 and use this service. So it really is for people who may have those phones and want to try it out. It's not something for the masses, and it is also something to consider for a certain type of user. Someone who is a heavy data user, it is definitely not a good service. But for someone like myself who may use 1-2 gigs tops a month, it's really a good service for. And I'm not really the pickiest about the call quality, but it is it's solid. It's just not great. I just really think about how good that Verizon voice over LTE sound, and I have that. I'm coming from that service to this service, so probably if the average person heard it, they wouldn't think it's that bad. But I just really was impressed with that Verizon voice over LTE. So this service is pretty much probably just par for the course. We'd like to pause the discussion here and take some time out to thank our listeners for their support. We appreciate your listenership. And if you have any questions or any thoughts that you'd like to send us, please send us an email at techandpotatoes@gmail.com. Thanks, and let's get back to the show.
So I know you're still testing out the Fi service. Right now, what are your thoughts? Do you think you might keep this service, or you think the sound quality of Verizon's voice over LTE is just that good where it's not worth getting the extra money to have the good quality of service?
Oh, I definitely think it's worth it. I'm going to keep the service, I think. I'm still under contract, unfortunately, with Verizon, so I might try to see if I can reduce my plan to just the lowest common denominator just so it satisfies the contract. And I'm definitely going to use the service because, the savings that I'm going to receive, is definitely most important to me. I'm all about doing things. I like to get nice stuff, but I want to save money. I want to get my best value. And I think the Fi service offers a great value for someone like me who has a Nexus 5X phone. I mean, if you don't have those phones, it's not what I say, go get this phone and get this service. No, because there are other carriers. I mean, the Fi service doesn't really, it's not offering anything that you can't get from Cricket or Metro PCS or Straight Talk, Republic Wireless. You can go ahead and talk about, I know you're looking into Cricket Wireless, Sam. Isn't that one of your providers?
Yeah, Cricket Wireless is one of the budget carriers that I'm going to look into in the next couple of weeks. And the interesting thing about Cricket is they have been out for a while. They've been around for at least 10 or plus years. But a lot of people have had bad experience with them because when they first started out, their network was not very good. And I'm not sure exactly who network they were using back then, but I got a feeling it was like either I think Sprint or T-Mobile, and at that time their networks were not built out very well. But lately, in the last 2 years, they've been purchased by AT&T, and AT&T has slowly moved them over to their network. So now you're getting a value price for the same AT&T network with a caveat in how they take care, how they do their data speeds and things.
I think that's an important point that you brought up, that a lot of people see these different providers, Metro PCS, Straight Talk, Republic. Who are these people? I don't know. I've never heard of these companies. The thing that we have to realize as consumers is that they're using our big carriers. They use Sprint. Some use Verizon, use AT&T and T-Mobile as their backbone. As it's the same service, it's just at a discounted price. Now, will you get the best customer service? Not necessarily, but there are some compromises. But for the value, you really, have to think about what you're getting and how you just can't beat the price. So you're talking about those compromises. What are those compromises that you have to make with Cricket and some of those carriers out there?
Well, a lot of times you're going to get the same network you're getting with AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, or Verizon, but sometimes there's some limitations to that network. Like, for instance, Cricket, instead of getting the full speed of an AT&T network, you are going to be throttled down to 8 megabits per second, which might sound like something bad, but to a lot of people, 8 megabits per second is plenty of data speed to do what you need to do as far as streaming YouTube videos, Netflix, streaming music, or listening or sending emails or surfing the net. So a lot of times you just need to weigh what really you're compromising with. I mean, if you're somebody that really likes a fast network that's you can download a file in 2 seconds, then Cricket and some of these other carriers might not be for you. But if you're somebody that can wait about 3 or 4 more seconds to get that file downloaded, it's something you might want to think about, because the savings in the long run are much better. For instance, I'm paying about $100 a month right now for unlimited internet service through AT&T.
Who are you with? You're AT&T, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm with AT&T, and I'm on an old plan. This plan's been, I think this plan's about 4 years old since they've actually sold that plan. It might even be older, and I'm on their unlimited plan, which they're trying to get us off of. I mean, they're about to raise the price for the first time either this month or next month. It's going to go up about $5. So I have to really weigh, is it really worth me keeping this unlimited plan? And now, if I think about it, I'm paying about $100. It'd be about $105 once they raise it to get unlimited internet. But really, do I use unlimited internet? I mean, sometimes we need to just look and see how much data we really use a month and then make our decisions based off that. For instance, Cricket, for 2.5 gigs of data and unlimited talk and text, it's only $40 a month. And if you do their auto pay, you get a $5 discount. So you're looking at $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and that's everywhere in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Now, if you're an international call, you might want to look somewhere else. But for that price, it's pretty good. And then they also have plans for 5 gigs for $50 a month and 10 gigs for $60 a month.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, I looked into it. I can actually consider Metro PCS, which is built off of T-Mobile's backbone. And that was the service that I was looking at initially before I went with Fi, and I still may go to that. And that's the good thing about it. I can quit Fi at any time. I'm not stuck in a contract at all. I can go try Cricket. I can try Republic Wireless. I can try Straight Talk. Anything I want. That's the beauty of being free and not restricted to a carrier and being held hostage because of the service. So if you are, not under contract, you might want to consider looking into one of those budget carriers. It's definitely something to consider. Sam, I know you wanted to say something else on this.
Well, when you mentioned being held hostage, a lot of people are thinking now, hey, I'm not under contract anymore because I'm on one of those new lease programs like Next, and I forget what the Verizon one is called. Edge, and I think Sprint or T-Mobile.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name. And
they all have a little fancy name.
Yeah, and now Sprint has this Galaxy Forever program.
An iPhone Forever program.
Yeah, and you think, oh, it's great. I'm not under contract no more. I can pay the little fee every month, be it $20, $30, and then after 12 months, 24 months, 30 months, I can upgrade to a new phone. Which, yeah, that sounds great. You're not paying full price for the phone. right up front, but over the year you're paying that whole $600-700 just spread out over 30 months or so. But then you're also being tied to their service because now you're on a payment plan. Most people can't just come up with that $600-700 right off the bat, so you're going to be stuck with that carrier for another 2 years or so, paying that installment plan, and then you're also paying that high phone bill. So when you really think about installment plans, they're really kind of like a contract without having a contract, because most people can't pay the price for that phone right out. It's just not affordable for people, and they're like, oh, I only pay $20 a month and I get this GS7 or I get the iPhone, and oh, everything's good, but you're still paying all those fees on top of that. And then when we are talking about budget carriers, like I told you, $30, $35, and $40 a month for like Cricket. When they say $35 and $40 a month, they really mean it, because all your fees and taxes are included. And I know, Chris, you're talking about your bill with Verizon. I know you only pay a certain amount, but how many more dollars you pay in just fees and taxes and insurance and so forth?
Yeah, my bill is like only $118 thereabouts, or maybe $120 or so. I can't recall. It's on auto pay, so yeah. But it's I think after the taxes and fees, it's like $134. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's like $14-15 of taxes. So I mean, that's definitely something to consider. But you were talking about earlier, you were touching on the prices of these phones. Now, this is something, I'm not going to go off into a tangent about this, but it does bother me. I mean, cell phones are one of those things that are a ripoff. Everything goes down in prices, but cell phones do not. So you're going to tell me that a cell phone, let's say I'm not going to pick on Apple here, but an iPhone, I don't know, middle of the road, 64 gig, iPhone 6S, which is the latest one, you're going to tell me that's like, what, $800? So that I can go get a laptop, a full-fledged laptop that's going to cost less than that. I can get a tablet, which has all the same technology, radio, screen, everything inside of it for, a fraction of the cost. I mean, cell phones are one of those things that, we have been ripped off as a society. They set the price and we just have to deal with it. But I think it's coming to light how you see these companies like OnePlus, make the OnePlus One phone you had, and there's other phones out there that you can see that show that you can make a good phone, and and we know the iPhone is only costs $200 to make. They broke it down, so it's such a ripoff. I know you have some thoughts about that.
Well, yeah, because a lot of us pay for the name. You're paying for the name that's on that phone. The iPhone, you're paying for that brand, Apple. I mean, the Galaxy S7, you're paying for that name, Samsung. I mean, we really need to look at, do we need all the features of that phone? Especially like you mentioned, OnePlus. They have a great phone. It costs $300 versus $600-700, and it does basically the same thing that the iPhone or the Galaxy phone does. You also have Motorola putting out, I think it's a Pure Edition phone. You have the Nexus brand with the 5X. It's a middle of the road phone, but it's only, right now, you get it for $250. I mean, and it does everything you need it to do. So you really need to look at how much you're paying for that phone, because that also goes into your budget when you're looking at what carrier you go with. Because when you buy like a OnePlus or a Nexus phone or a Motorola Pure Edition, you're getting an unlocked phone, meaning you can decide who you go with. You're not locked to a carrier. You're not locked to them for 20 or 30 months. You can make your own decision with your wallet. Okay, is this company the one I want to go with? Do I want to give them $150 a month? Or do I want to go with somebody like Cricket or Metro PCS and only pay them like $30 or $40 a month? You have that freedom.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I know we've been talking about phones lately a lot, and now we're talking about the budget carriers. But I mean, that's something to think about. I mean, if you just want the best, hey, I understand that. We all have our little things that we like to spend money on. Everyone does. So, if that's one of your things, you have to have the phone, you have to have the name brand, fine. But, there's nothing wrong with looking at value and considering value when it's there. And just like we're talking about saving some money on these phones, and we're talking about saving money on these budget carriers. I mean, take advantage of them, do some research, look at what's out there, and test them out. I mean, you can just go buy a SIM anywhere, and you might pay $20, $40 a month, and test out the service. Use it in all the different places that you go and travel and see how your service works.
And yeah, and that's what I was gonna mention. I'm glad you got to, was these budget carriers are cheap. So usually, even if you're under contract with the AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint T-Mobile, you still can probably pick up a SIM from one of these other companies and try out their service for $20 or $30 a month, and then you get to see, is this service even something I want to do before you make that big switch? Because that switch is a big choice you got to make, so you want to make sure the service is good for you. And a lot of times you can go online, Google, Bing, or whatever, and look and see who these carriers actually use, like what network they're piggybacking on. So you know, maybe if you're in an area where T-Mobile's a great network for you, you can try one of those, or Verizon or AT&T, and that might help you find a budget carrier that's better for you than in other places.
Yeah, I mean, definitely test those things out. I mean, you really got to do some research, because just like we're telling you about these bargain carriers, a lot of people don't know about them. They say, hey, I need a cell phone. Oh, I need to go to the Sprint store. I need to go to the AT&T store. No, there's other options. When you see that little Metro PCS sign, don't ignore it. When you see Cricket Wireless, don't ignore it. Do a little research, see if it works out for you. Same thing with we were talking about the phones. I mean, there are other phones. You don't have to go to your store, to your carrier, and buy a phone. You don't have to buy your phone from Verizon. You don't have to buy your phone from Sprint. Do some research out there. I mean, it's pretty much all these smartphones are either Apple or Android. There's plenty of Android phones out there that are reasonably priced, where the average consumer and even some enthusiasts will not notice the difference if they get a mid-range phone. And you can save yourself for maybe even $500 or $600. So definitely think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, the great thing also is most of these networks, they use SIM cards, they use GSM networks, and that means you can pretty much switch to any network you want and try it out. And another thing, I was talking to some friends about this a while ago, about a budget carrier versus one of the big time carriers, and one of my friends was like, I don't know if I want to try like a Cricket or something. I wouldn't tell anybody if I had Cricket. And I mean, you gotta let your ego to the side, because the other person might be on Sprint, AT&T, and they're paying $200 or $300 more than you in a couple of months, and you're paying $30 or $40, and you still got a good service. So you need to think about it financially, and not just, oh, I can't tell anybody I got Metro PCS, because in the end of the day, as long as you can make the phone calls and download and surf the internet and watch what you want to watch, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what service it is, as long as it works for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all have to get over those little things. It's almost like when, you've got to think of those big four as name. It's like kind of like clothes, with name brand clothes. I mean, do you really want to have that name? Does that matter? If that matters to you, hey, you can completely ignore what we're saying and go to your main four, your big four, and get your phone and pay whatever you need to. But if you're looking for value, then definitely consider the bargain carriers that are out there.
And another great thing about the bargain carriers, say you are that person that wants that iPhone, that Galaxy S7, that LG G5.
Oh, I know what you're getting at.
I mean, if you think about it and you want to pay that phone out and not be stuck with the carriers or locked in, the money you're saving on that budget carrier will allow you to pay for that phone right out. I mean, that's extra money you have to say you want to plop down $600-$700 for your phone. It's easier to do when you're not paying $150 a month for the same service you can get for $30 or $40 a month. You got to think about how the savings add up in the end.
All right, I guess that just about covers it. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask us about this topic, or any other topics that you'd like us to discuss, send us an email at techandpotatoes@gmail.com. That's techandpotatoes@gmail.com. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Take care.